All right, we're up here in Vermont, and we found the syrup farm. Is that what it's called, a syrup farm?
Yeah, Sugar Shack we're at.
Sugar Shack.
Call it sugaring. They're sugar makers is normally the words we
Okay.
use.
So is this comparable to Aunt Jemima? Because I'm an Aunt Jemima fan. Am I just insulting you? I'm sorry. I just like Aunt Jemima, but then they took the little black lady off, and now I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, they changed all the names.
Yeah.
So, Aunt Jemima and most of the sugars Americans consume beef, right? Like that's the vast majority of the sugars that Americans. Maple is this very tiny bit because it's pretty hard to make maple syrup. You know, we're using wild trees. We tap 14,000 trees.
So when you say you tap, is that what I saw on TV where they stick the stick in it and they drill a hole and
What type of TV are you watching?
a 38-inch 38-inch box TV?
Yeah, so like look at this picture over
Here we go. Let's check it out.
Right? Like the quintessential, the rusty buckets.
That's what I see in
the trees,
yeah.
the horses. Look at this building that looks like it's falling over. Definitely not.
There's a lot of those
fire
around
cone.
here. There's a lot of those around here. I love it though. I mean,
Yeah.
Some of these barns look like you could just kind of push them over and they fall right over.
And so that's the sugaring of yesteryear. What we do here is kind of modern sugaring.
All right.
And so sugaring has really changed. Jenna's dad back in the day was hanging 3,000 rusty buckets on trees.
Damn.
Now we tap 14,000 trees, all on what we would
14,000
say
trees.
tubing, gravity plus vacuum. So there's 110
Oh,
miles.
it's all like high tech and
Yeah, it's high tech.
Okay, so
what you can't see here is shrouded in fog and mystery. You can kind of see it. There's 5,000 trees that we
So
tap
is
over
that
there.
all your guys' property part of this?
Most of it, and then we rent 2 different private land
Okay.
neighbors.
And those lands already had trees on them, obviously.
Yeah, so in
Okay.
maple world, we don't plant any trees.
Oh.
They're all wild, and you're approaching those trees. It's this weird type of farming. It's not really quite farming. It's a weird kind of
Harvesting?
foraging.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
People would say gathering sap is the language we use.
All right. So we just left, came from Amish country,
Cool.
and I'm not comparing you to Amish people, but Amish
Yeah.
people like live off the land, and
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell my-
There's different community standards.
I tell my friends, just turn off don't pay your electric bill, and you'll be
Yeah.
Amish.
Okay. Yeah.
But I don't even know where this is going. But can we?
I mean, the same thing you can say about Vermonters sometimes. I think you should meet Jen's dad.
is that the way it is?
But you know, maple country exists from like Maine as far west as like Minnesota-ish, and as far south as West Virginia-ish. But Vermont is known for its maple syrup because Vermont makes half the maple syrup in the United States.
Oh,
follow
that's
me
kinda
behind
cool.
these stores. There's cooler things to tell.
We got a special
First of all,
tour.
we got Wesley. You can film
Hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
Wesley's bagging maple sugar.
Maple sugar.
So you can make, right? So we're not adding any sugar. We're not adding any cane or beet, right, to this product. It's the naturally occurring sugar in the sap that is boiled and reduced down into pure maple product.
So is it like a powder, whatever he's bagging, or is it a?
Yeah, it's like a granulated sugar. It's kind of
Okay.
Sort of see it here.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
kind of like white sugar or brown sugar.
Oh, okay, cool.
Almost the same consistency, yeah. Same granulated.
I feel like we're gonna walk into Breaking Bad.
It's kind of like Breaking Bad with less drugs, or more drugs. Sugar is a drug, you know.
Yeah, it's true. It is. It is. It's a high. It's a definitely high.
And so this is a sugar shack. This sugar shack was built in '79, so it's been a working sugar house for 40 some years. It's kind of a mix of old school and new school, like where sugaring is going, like stainless steel, washable walls. You know, we're making a food product.
Who's that dude?
It's Jenna's father-in-law. He's also my boss.
Oh,
You know, that-
okay. We'll keep it nice about him.
Anyways, so the sap from the tree, normally I have a prop table set up, but I don't really.
Oh, here we
This
go.
is what
Check
the
this
tree
out.
looks
Here we
like.
go.
Or a piece of firewood looks like,
Yeah.
right? Every year, new holes, right? We're going about 2 inches into the tree. Every year, new spout, hammer it in, right? And
Yeah.
we hook it up to this tubing system that stays up most of the year. But we call that process tapping. We do it earlier and earlier, partially because of climate. Next week, we'll start drilling holes here,
How long will the hole last?
hopefully through the season.
Okay.
So
And it'll just keep draining and draining and.
it'll drip, and this we call that a sap run or sap flow, and that happens when it freezes at night and thaws during the day. So
Oh.
above and below 32.
What's
right?
your prime month for this to happen?
In this region, March. These are all great questions. Yeah, so snapshot of our season last year. Last year we started drilling holes on January 11th, We had all those holes drilled by like early February-ish. And the first sap that we actually, are you dodging the camera? Right?
He likes to put it in our face.
Yeah.
Sure. The first sap we actually gathered last year was February 12th. And we gathered and boiled and gathered and boiled and gathered and boiled until April 12th. And
This is all snow season up here, isn't it?
Yeah, there's usually a bit of snow, but it's kind of wacky out there.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of rain and a lot of...
Yeah, we're on a snowcation. We found a
With a smile.
found an ice where like somebody pushed ice up into someone's driveway, and we had to jump out and check it out.
Okay, yeah, just to make a snowball. And
Right.
Down in it.
And she threw it at me.
Your arms like
Right. So
the sap gets-
comes from there.
So it goes through all these lines, right? Lines
Yep.
go to larger and larger lines. These lines are lashed to wider. Mostly what Wesley and I did in the season is we walk the woods looking for leaks because we apply a vacuum. So like the tool they use at the dentist
Oh,
office,
so
the
you're
sharp
sucking
tool.
air and you don't want to lose vacuum.
I don't want to lose vacuum because more vacuum, more sap, more syrup. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these lines normally feed to some big collection spot. On this farm, there's 3 of those collection spots. Sometimes in sugaring world, like sap is hauled. Often, and if you come here like during March, there's big trucks with milk tanks on the
Yeah.
back of it, moving sap from woodlands.
And
to
that's
places
all
like
full of sap
usually.
or
Yeah.
syrup or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, people will haul whatever they can fit on their truck, essentially, right?
How thick? What's the consistency of the sap coming out? Like really thick? Like
This is a good question. Most people think like it's like syrup already. Or like
no. It's got to be like I know when I cut down a tree. I know when I cut down a tree, and he's looking at me like I'm weird as shit. When I cut down a tree and you get that sap all over your hands,
Yeah.
is that what
So
it?
it's not
is
like that.
Okay.
Oftentimes- Sometimes you'll see that stuff condense, right, just because of air outside the tree. But the sap we gather from the maple tree is 98% water on average, 2% sugar, or even less. So it's like a gallon of water, and then you add like 2 teaspoons of sugar to it, right?
So those are not full of beer.
Those are not full of beer.
Okay.
Those are empty, but those over there are full of syrup. But look, you'll get a kick out of it.
All right, check it out. All right.
Filling this tank with water because I'm about to clean this
We get some
machine.
backdoor looking stuff. Oh, cool.
So this is just water I'm going to use to clean with. But
Wow, look how clean these things are.
yeah, I mean,
Dang.
Well, yeah.
I wish the wheels on my truck looked like this.
what are you driving through?
Yeah, Vermont.
So
Wow.
These are normally sap storage tanks. Like normally I'm not putting water in these tanks.
Yeah.
But the sap kind of looks like water during the season.
Is it clear?
Yeah, it may be a tint of color. Later in
Okay.
the season it gets cloudier and darker. But as you fill up these tanks, we want to deal with it, right? Because we want to make syrup fast. Sap is perishable. Like
How much? How full? I mean, this is big.
this
This
will
is
get full.
wow.
I mean, this is a 6,000 some gallon tank, and on the best days of the year, it can fill up in like 3 hours ish.
Crazy.
Normally it's slower, right? It all depends on that
Crazy.
temperature, freeze, thaw cycle, and it also depends on how strong the vacuum is in the woods, right? Like
So you say vacuum? Do you actually have a pump hooked up to it somewhere?
it's a
At
vacuum
the end of the line, a vacuum pump?
at the bottom of the hill. Yeah, we
Huh.
run a 10 horsepower liquid ring vacuum pump.
What PSI are we talking about? Just
Like vacuum is measured in inches per mercury,
okay.
so the inches of Hg. So people will say inches of vacuum. So we like.
So if you put that vacuum on your neck, are you getting a hickey?
A little bit, yeah. Like Michael Phelps or
Right?
something.
Yeah.
Like if you stick it on your hand when it's high vacuum, like you'll get a little bit of a thing.
Okay, so that tells me how much pressure.
You can
this-
hear it. Like a big leak, you can hear it.
And when you're walking these wood lines, you're just listening for a
You're
leak.
listening, and then you're looking for little air bubbles because a little leak will just look like little air bubbles
Yeah.
rushing through. But from here, so we get a tank of sap.
Yep.
And then we want to deal with it. We use reverse osmosis machines.
Okay.
For sugaring. That's what I'm about to clean. I force the sap through under high pressure, and we separate water. And when we separate water, it's less water we need to turn into steam.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
back in the day, you're taking this stuff.
So you're taking all the water out of it. Essentially, is what
We're
you're doing.
taking a lot of the water out.
Okay.
Now. So I boil like a concentrated maple juice. That's 20% sugar. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And since I'm taking that much water out before boiling, you save a lot of time and money and fuel and everything else.
Is it expensive to run this operation?
I mean, sugaring is a pretty capitally intensive type of farming, right? When you talk about like the cost of the land,
Yeah.
the cost of the
Yeah,
labor,
that's true.
the cost of the fuel.
I mean, you're not out there watering the trees or anything.
There's not a huge amount of like amendments
Yeah.
or like things that you need to apply to the land, which is great.
Okay.
Because it's a wild crop. They're native trees. Like there's a lot of ways in which maple is pretty resilient. But at the same time, we're farming the sap, but then we are processing sap, right? We are making a product from
Yeah.
the sap.
I feel like the dude on Dirty Jobs right now. Are you gonna stick me in some kind of shithole to clean out or something?
Do you want it?
No. I'm good. What is
Look
it?
at that thing real quick so you just finish the process.
So, okay, now we got it here. Now where are we going?
So there's more tanks up in this loft area. There's more stainless steel tanks that
Yeah.
hold the concentrated sap or they hold water. We run it into this machine. This machine is all broke down right now.
Can I step up here?
Yeah. There's bays and channels and flues. It's actually interesting because it is broke down. You can see it. But right, there's flues. And as it boils, it bubbles. It's hot, right? The water is evaporating. It's steaming. The water gets.
Is this like this room just hot as hell? Not too bad.
It's cold out, but I'll open a door if we're boiling.
Yeah.
It smells nice. It smells like.
So how do you guys add? All right, let me just fast forward this a little bit. How do you guys add all the flavors? I see you in your showroom. You have like 50 flavors.
Yeah. So there's 4 main grades of maple syrup that are kind of like flavors that run from light to dark. And it's not like we cook a darker syrup longer. It's usually the season of the sap. Earlier in the season, we make a lighter syrup. Later in the season, we make a darker syrup.
Dude, there's a lot of science to this. This is giving me a headache.
Yeah, science.
Science and just trial and error.
Yeah, but like if you're a small-time sugar maker and you're just boiling in one pot, you might just get one big jar of maple syrup at the end of it.
Okay. How many flavors do you have up there?
Well, we make all 4 of the main grades of maple syrup. We make commercial grades I legally can't sell you.
Okay.
And then we make infused syrup,
So-
which is not pure. We're taking pure maple syrup and then we're steeping it and infusing it with other flavors.
So people from South Mississippi are telling me, hey, bring me syrup from Vermont. Okay, I don't know anything about this crap. I know the little black lady on the bottle. But I'm almost a professional. So what flavor am I going to get them? Or do I have to call them? I'm not trying to call everybody.
Most people like Goldilocks, like something in the middle.
Okay,
Something
yeah,
not too
yeah.
light, not too dark. And like if you're at a grocery store and you're buying pure maple syrup, right, or you're at a restaurant in the Northeast that's serving pure maple syrup, you're normally getting like a medium grade, like amber.
So I had pancakes this morning here in Vermont. What's his name? Little Joe, or Big
Johnny Boy's pancakes.
Johnny Boys. See, everybody knows Johnny Boys. Okay, so I went there and I grabbed a little syrup that they gave me in a little cup.
Yeah, it was a good syrup.
It was very good, and it just poured out real thin. Is that normal? I mean, I'm used to like a.
Yeah, because so like if you're used
It was good. It was really good.
or corn syrup, right? Like Aunt Jemima's or Log Cabins or Hungry Jacks of the world.
I don't know if you can say Aunt Jemima anymore.
Yeah,
People
well,
get
you
offended.
did, so I did.
Okay, we're good.
Because those things they have additives and thickeners, right?
Yeah.
And so they, over many years they because of the kind of the products they put in that stuff. It's highly processed. Pure maple syrup is for thickness that it is for a reason, and it's actually state law. It's Vermont state law.
Are you guys like really governed by the man?
The man is everywhere. The man is.
No, trust me. I know the man's everywhere. The man has taken care of me before.
Vermont stays out of sugaring, except there are like quality laws, right? Like,
Right.
And it's the thickness for a reason. What I was gonna say is like if maple syrup, pure syrup was any thicker, it would be prone to crystallize. Almost like raw honey. If you've had raw honey crystallize in a
Yeah.
jar.
Yeah.
And if it's less.
Now we have a lot of honey makers down where I'm from.
Yeah, I love honey.
Okay. I should have brought some up and we did some little horse trading.
Yeah, I'll burn it for zero. If it was less thick, it would be more prone to ferment, right?
Okay.
And so like maple syrup in Vermont is 66.9% sugar, essentially. And the old timers would just pick it up with a scoop and you'd eyeball it, kind of like you did this morning over your pancakes.
Yeah.
You can just see how it falls off of
The viscosity, is that the right word? Viscosity?
Like a viscosity.
Okay.
I'm using the word density because that's what we're measuring. We're measuring sugar.
I build motors, so
Okay, come on.
I'm doing oil viscosity.
Yeah, viscosity. We use now like they use in beer brewing. We use hydrometers.
Okay.
And so you have to get the sugar exact because that's what we sell here. I mean, it's like Willy Wonka. We're selling pounds of sugar.
We went to Hershey. Now that you bring up Willy
Did you
Wonka,
go on the roller coaster?
I was very disappointed. Sorry.
From the chocolate or from the
Just from the whole experience is a Disneyland, and I watched the history of Hershey, and he conned somebody out of their whatever, you know. It's
Really?
yeah. You should watch the history on it.
Didn't Reese's
Mars.
Oh.
He stole the idea from Mars.
Okay.
Well, he had some deal with Mars, and then he ran with it and ripped him off. But anyways,
Sugar World
yeah.
and Candy World is interesting. Candy World is all like NDA and like
NDA.
Trade secrets.
Okay,
right?
yeah,
So
right.
people in Candy World, you know, they're all
Yeah.
There's no patents on anything. It's all, you know, we keep this in house and we close.
So you guys have your secret recipe, little book somewhere that you don't show anybody. Can we see it?
No, sugar beans is pretty open. And no, it's true. Sugar beans is a very open industry, and it's for the most part because there's not a huge amount of direct producer on producer competition, because we could all sell drums to the bulk market if we want to.
Who is your biggest competition, or do you have? I mean, how does that work? Do you have competition?
Not in like, I mean, we have a competition in the sense of like the retail landscape.
Right.
Like when we're trying to sell jug syrup around town, right? Everyone and their brother makes maple syrup in Vermont. There's like 2,000 to 3,000 sugar makers in Vermont.
Are there like the backwoods guys, the I don't know if you guys have stills here.
Well, this is kind of like a still.
Yeah, I guess it is. I mean, it looks like one. Just looks like a really. I'm used to the copper bucket in the bathtub kind of.
There's a lot of sugar houses that are like old school sugar houses. If you drive up this road, there's another 5 sugar houses. There's dirt poor sugar houses. There's all these things. But if we're selling syrup across state line, or we're selling syrup in drums, right? Like we need to make a clean product. We want to
Right,
make a
of
clean
course,
product.
yeah.
We want to make the best product anyways.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
we will sell drums here to the bulk.
I'm not trying to buy a drum
And then we will sell
because then I'm
jugs
gonna.
here, and they're all different markets and they're all different competitions, right? Like competing on Google page 1 is a different type of competition than trying to get into the gift shop in Rutland. Does that make sense?
No.
No. Okay.
Right on. Well, thank you for the tour. What was your name? I'm sorry.
My name's Jacob. I didn't get your name.
Jacob David. Thank you.
Meet you, David.
We're waiting on you to do the tasting.
Oh, we're gonna do tasting. Well,
Start a new
I gotta
one.
get the proper.
all right. So now I'm gonna cut this video and we'll do a new video for tasting.